Regé-Jean Page, best known for his breakout role as the Duke of Hastings in Bridgerton, is stepping into the world of espionage, though he finds the idea of glamorous spies rather unrealistic. In his upcoming film Black Bag, directed by Steven Soderbergh, Page plays an MI6 agent caught in a web of intrigue alongside Michael Fassbender, Cate Blanchett, and Naomi Harris. Unlike the high-octane action of James Bond, the film leans into the subtleties of intelligence work, focusing on manipulation, trust, and power dynamics. Reflecting on his own journey, Page discusses his background, born in London, raised in Zimbabwe, and later returning to the UK, where his experiences shaped his ability to adapt, a skill crucial for both acting and, ironically, espionage. Despite his growing Hollywood fame, he remains grounded, finding solace in music and creativity outside the industry. Bridgerton's Regé-Jean Page, the idea of attractive spies is ludicrous. The period drama's dashing Duke now lights up the screen as a suave secret agent, but the actor's real job is quietly honing his craft. After mulling it over for a little while, Regé-Jean Page reaches a conclusion: no, he would not make a very good spy. Probably not, he concedes. I don't think I'd enjoy holding that kind of attention for that long. The stakes are a bit high. Also, he adds, he once learned about the CIA term the Gray Man. In fact, 3 years ago he was in a film of that name opposite Ryan Gosling, which broadly relates to good spies being the sort of people you'd pass in the street without really noticing them. So the whole idea of having attractive spies is ludicrous, Page says. That's more where actors are up against it. Because we, for various reasons, as a society like watching attractive people do attractive things, and that's kind of the opposite of the real job, which is being a very, very dull person, doing very meticulous things. As Page says the words attractive people, his hand gestures across his face, which he will later describe as his uniform. It's as if to say, I mean, come on, who wouldn't notice this? It would be a comically arrogant move coming from most people, but in Page's case it's a simple statement of fact. He really wouldn't last a day out in the field. Not with that smolder. We are in an oddly appointed mezzanine room above a photography studio in North London. Page, as he once had cause to tweet, Reg is pronounced like reggae, then Jean in the French style, and Page, as you'd expect, is expressive and thoughtful, with a booming laugh and an ever-animated right eyebrow. He rode to global fame as Simon Bassett, Duke of Hastings, the most swaggering, eligible man in London, in Netflix's Regency-era romp Bridgerton in 2020. Today, though, he is confident but solicitous, and so wary of saying the wrong thing that he seems almost timid. I try and listen more than I talk, so I find these situations unnatural, he says. One of my favorite things about acting is deflecting attention away from myself. He is 37 years old, and snug as a bug in a black Armani tracksuit, he was made the face of Armani Code Parfum in 2022. He strokes his own thigh. It does magical things that tracksuits shouldn't do, a very, very casual, but still looks dressed up just a 53 idle bit. He's paired it with Vans skate shoes. Those are very much his own. Teenage indie kid, he nods. That's never going anywhere. Spies are the topic this afternoon, though, because this spring, for years after Page left Bridgerton and walked straight into the thick of a rumor mill familiar to a lot of handsome young British actors on the verge, the prophecy has been fulfilled. That is to say, in his next film, an explosive London-set thriller, Page is playing a suave, womanizing MI6 secret agent with questionable morals, impeccable tailoring, an inappropriate workplace relationship with a character played by Naomi Harris, and even a wizened mentor portrayed by Pierce Brosnan. It's just not that spy. That job's very much still open. Instead, Page stars in Black Bag, a stylish, old-fashioned espionage caper from the prolific and garlanded Steven Soderbergh. In it, Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett play impossibly stylish, married secret agents. When the latter is suspected of treason, the former has to investigate, testing loyalties in all directions. Page and Harris, together with Tom Burke and Marissa Abela, play other MI6 employees who all get much too involved in the matter. In Page's case, that's an understatement. It is tricksy and smart. It's also refreshingly action-free. As Soderbergh told The Telegraph recently, it's less Fleming than Leclerc, no chases, no fights, just one gunshot. Bond is not my skill set. My core skill set is people in rooms, talking. The trick is making them interesting people and interesting rooms. And there really is just one gunshot. Otherwise, the action is largely focused on 2 extended dinner party scenes in which the 6 of them bicker, flirt and talk shop while drinking expensive-looking wine. It's a little like Mr. and Mrs. Smith crossed with couples therapy. I liked it, I tell Paige. It's full of bureaucracy, HR meetings and lanyards, which is probably what working for MI6 is actually like. Lanyards. Yes. It's about the real people behind the ethos of the Secret Service, Paige says. Soderbergh would most often ask, well, what's real, when questioning the setup of a scene. They drafted in retired agents to advise them on getting it right, and Paige drowned himself in research to grasp the culture of a world most of us understand only through bombastic fictional accounts. The job is mostly about manipulating people and knowing how to make other people do things as opposed to running around shooting things and blowing things up. Usually what spies do is make other people cause international incidents. It's soft power, he says. The film is also about trust and intimacy, and knowing you're being lied to in good faith. Which is an extraordinarily naughty thing to dive into, because that's kind of what the Secret Service does to all of us, they lie to society in good faith. In the photo studio, a renovated old factory, Paige gets up to gaze at a panoramic view of Tottenham and Enfield. This is insane, he says, pointing out various sites and trying to orient himself. Is that? Wait. Yeah. And then. This is pretty much my old patch. He was born in London, to a Zimbabwean mother, a nurse, and a father who was a Catholic priest. When Regé-Jean was a baby, the family moved to Harare, where he and his younger brother, Toes, were brought up until returning to London for secondary school. Harare is close to my heart, it's where I grew up. I'm not sure I'd go back. I probably wouldn't recognize much of it at this point. But if you hadn't been to Hackney in 10 years, you wouldn't recognize it. His Zimbabwean accent wasn't strong, his father spoke in an old-fashioned RP, which he picked up, but it was enough to make him an outsider at school in London. I think you find a lot of actors are from overseas or military families, they move around and learn to fit in. Learning to assimilate, watching people and taking on that shape. As a child he was obsessed with Indiana Jones and the idea of being an explorer. One of the most powerful moments of his life, he says, was getting a student travel card and being able to roam around London as he pleased. As a teenager he painted, wrote poems, and principally made music. With purple dreadlocks and in skinny-fit t-shirts, he sang in a punk band, the Super Nashwan Kids, with his brother, and still records on and off with Toes, a full-time musician, as the duo Tunya. Music's a bit of an outlet, because we grew up doing that. Acting's a wonderful resource, but then there's just playing music for yourself. Which is an important dividing line, the job side of it, and the link to the celebrity world. I like to find things that are just life, that feed the human being.